Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation is Manj Mahalla Panjwa. Charan Thakur ke Ridhai Samane, Kal Kalesh sab dur pyane, Sant Sukh Sahaj Dun Upji, Sadhu Sang Nivasa Jiyo, Lagi Preet na Tute Mule, Hare Antar Bahar Reha Bharpure, Simar 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 Gun Gama, Kati Jam Ki Fasi Jiyo, Amrit Varkhe Anhad Bani, Man Tan Yantar Sant Samani, Tripatya Ghaye Rahe Jan Tere, Satguru Kiya Dilasa Jiyo, Jiska Sat Ste Phal Paya, Kar Kirpa Prabh Sang Milaya, Avan Jaan Rahe Vad Bhagi, Nanak Puran Asa Jiyo. We will take this from the top with a free translation first. The first section. In the company of the enlightener, Sadhu Sang Nivasa Jiyo, the mind was relieved of conflict and strife, and filled with peaceful calm and spontaneous harmony. The footsteps of the Master Self were experienced in the depths of my being. This is Guru Arjan expressing the state of his mind, the self-realized mind, in the company of the enlightener, Sadhu Sangha Nivasa. That's the first step, coming into the presence of the sadhu. The word comes from siddhi, to perfect something or to make manifest the truth within, which can then be transmitted to a receptive mind. So coming to such a sadhu is the first step, and it's used for the guru or guru wisdom within our tradition. And then once you do that, the mind is relieved. It feels a sense of relief, because the conflict and strife that is our ordinary state of being, the inner chatter, the inner conflict, starts passing away. And a powerful calm takes its place. And once the mind is quietened, there is a harmony that arises quite spontaneously. Sahaj Tun Upji. It arises. It just arises once the mind settles. And the mind settles when it begins to absorb and hear, truly hear. By hearing here is meant internalization, not just hearing superficially, not just the words, but to internalize them. Because once that happens, the spontaneous harmony arises, and with it comes the realization of the self within. Here the self is being referred to as Thakur, the master, one among many attributes, the controller. And that then is experienced in the depth of one's being. Ridhai Samane. Ridhai, we don't have a word for it except heart, but it's not the organ that we are talking about. It is symbolic of the source of life, because if your heart, even the organ, if it stops beating, you're dead. So it is really symbolic of the core of your being, the depths from which life is animated. So that's where the self resides. And then, lagi preet na tute bule. Unbreakable is this bond. The presence of the Har Self shimmers in everything. Har antar bahar raya bharpure. Now I live in constant awareness and thanksgiving of the Self. Simara, simara, simara gungawa. And the noose of death has been cut asunder. Having described the state of his mind, Guru Arjan is telling us how that mind acts. First, once this union is achieved, once this realization is achieved, you never lose it. Lagi preet na tute bule. What happens then is you begin to recognize, become aware of the interconnectedness and unity of everything around you. Now, you don't physically see everything as one, because this is an intuitive awareness that you develop. And simar, simar, simar gungawa, such a mind then, in thought, word, and deed, recalls, remembers, is aware, is conscious of this self that permeates everything. Har antar bar raya bharpure. Because then you're aware that there is only one actor on the stage here that is working through all of its creation. So it is with this recognition that such a mind operates in the world. And this, of course, comes because Amrita Varkha Anhadabani. This is the eternal life-giving wisdom that comes from Gur wisdom. It is awakened. And a mind with this awakening remains Tripat Agai, a very interesting term, very hard to translate, because Tripat means fulfillment, Agai, deep, or something that cannot be fathomed, and yet it doesn't quite capture the exact meaning. I mean, this is the mind getting its fill. And Tripat is usually paired with Trishna, which is the fire of desire that animates us constantly. And Aghai is a state of such deep fulfillment that it is unshakable. It cannot be moved. That is the sense with which one is then invested. And he concludes by saying, most fortunate was I, Vadapagi, to find union with the Prabh through the benevolence of the Guru enlightened. Kar Kirpa Prabh Sangha Milaya. There is benevolence. This is a benediction from Guru wisdom. The constant churning of the mind came to a halt. Avan jaan rahe. Now, we do translate Avan jaan as the coming and going, birth and death, but we are offering an alternative to think of this as the constant churning of the mind. Because to translate it as birth and death is to just open it to needless controversy. Our feeling is that in matters of the spirit, or in religious matters for that reason, the beginning is really not known, nor is the end. So the message, the instruction of the Guru is for the here and now. It talks about how to live life. And in the here and now, the mind is constantly churning. Avajana. The mind is here, there, back again, moves again, it's never still. So we feel that perhaps this is a more appropriate suggestion of our Avan. And the mind returned to where it belonged, jiska saath phal paaye. In other words, it returns to itself within, and phal paaye, it becomes fruitful, because the self is now the compass. And Guruji says the hopes and desires of Nanak were completely fulfilled. Nanak Puran Asa Jiyo. So the sense is that the fifth Nanak is calling himself a Vadbhagi, one who has received more than his share. Vadbhag. Bhag is share, hissa. Most fortunate, for all his hopes and aspirations have found fulfillment. Puran Asa Jiyo. Now, this should not be confused with the idea that he got whatever he wished for, because we are quick to think that, oh, this is some kind of a wishing tree. We can get whatever we feel like wanting. No. This is the quality of fulfillment that has come to reside in him. When you have this quality within you, then you don't miss anything. You have it, fine and good. If you don't have it, fine and dandy. This is a state of deep acceptance. This is truly what it means to walk in hukam, is to have a sense of deep fulfillment. And this comes when one recognizes the presence of the self within and unites, bonds with it, makes it the guide. On that note, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.